Okay. Let me just get a refresh on that. Okay, greetings and welcome to a long-awaited Van Man Talks live stream. It's been a very, very long time since I've done a live stream, and it's way overdue. And I'm excited to have two great guests with me today. Now, the reason that I want these two guests, and if you're not familiar with them, all the details are down below. We've got Regan from the Regan Elite channel, and we've got Darren from Daily Blase. And there's a very specific reason that I want these guys on today, because I want to talk YouTube. You know, we've been doing YouTube for several years, the three of us, I think, haven't we? Quite a few years now. And I'm really interested in your opinions. And also, first of all, check out these guys' channels if you're not familiar, but I love what you guys are doing at the moment. Specifically, you've kind of got like both of you got like regular live streams. You've got like a really good community of people that you chat to on your channels and come and watch your content. And this is something that I'm kind of wanting to move towards more, because there's no secret with viewers of my channel that I've been coming quite disillusioned with the way the sort of political sphere has been going on social media and YouTube. I took a good 9 months off from YouTube because I was getting a bit frustrated with it. And the thing I was getting frustrated with is I'd go on YouTube and I'd look at it and I'd just see like one giant mudslinging match between left-wing content creators, right-wing content creators. The way that YouTube was going with the algorithm, people were having to use more and more sensationalist style thumbnails, sensationalist style titles, where it would have to be some sort of anger driven thing to try and get you to click on it, where it would be this lefty loser over here has said this, or this person is exposed here. And I kind of just got fed up with it. And I could see that it was driven more also by the monetization of channels. When money gets involved, YouTube channels, they become a business where you're serving something to a customer. And it kind of looked more and more to me that people were getting hooked on this type of content, and it was like a drug dealer just dealing out this sensationalist content to people to get addicted to. And I just really didn't like it. And like I said, I do love what you guys do on your channel with long form conversational content. I really think that's the way to go, because I mean, ultimately, when we're doing politics on YouTube, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to share our views, aren't we? We're trying to maybe stop some of the insane politics that's coming into the world, and we want to spread the message. And I just see one big political divide on YouTube with the way that the algorithm's going. And yeah, I mean, I'd love your opinions on it. So I mean, I'll throw it over to Regan first. Is there anything that I'm saying resonate with you at all? Have you had similar views?
So, just for a bit of context for viewers who aren't familiar with me, so when I first started out on my channel, this next month, March actually will be 3 years officially as a YouTuber, like actually creating content and whatnot. And I was doing videos and short videos, but I was already doing a few live streams with a friend of mine, Lee Korn, and we were doing a series called The Snowflake Show many years ago before I actually started as a YouTuber myself. So that in and of itself, even though we only had like less than 10 viewers or whatever on the live streams, what I found with that in terms in such a difference to doing videos or short form videos is there is always a case of, if you're having the discussion about, or you're talking about certain content, whatever the news is, regardless of whether it's left wing, right wing, whatever it is, or whatever politics or news that I'm covering, there's always somebody that can pop up in the chat and say something right there live to you, and you can engage with that conversation right there on the spot. Whereas on videos or video formats, yeah, you got the comment that they come back on and they say about it, and then you choose how to respond, obviously, accordingly. Whereas right there in the moment, you can have that discussion with that person. And I definitely feel that over the last 2.5+ years since I've really started this channel, I have felt a sense that, you know, there is a community that has grown. And Darren will say that we both have lots and lots of people from both our communities, are very shared community, without a shadow of a doubt. And even, of course, even some of ours are from you, of course. So there's definitely a shared community vibe. And I just think, for me, live streams are much more much more a way to get more engage more with your audience, as opposed to videos and shorts. For me personally, it took a while, but it's only been the last several months that views have actually been able to be a lot better on my channel for live streams than other formats. But
well, yeah, views is something we can get onto, but I totally resonate with what you're talking about, because when you make a video, it's just a blank statement, you put it out there, people will interpret it differently, they'll take it the wrong way. And with conversation, you get dialogue, and live stream, you get dialogue. What about you, Darren? What do you think about
it? When you're talking about you know, people who you're making a video and the comment down below, and how many times have you've done a video and somebody puts in the comment, totally misinterprets the video altogether, and you just think, what are you on? I just like, I did an upload tonight, and apparently, according to this Burke, I'm a KGBB's fan. I love KGBB's news, apparently. I'm a supporter of GB News, apparently. All I did was just highlight a bit of a conversation where they were trying to basically do a bit of Trump bootlicking. And apparently, according to this person, I'm a supporter of KGBB's news. All I did was just go on their Twitter account, and they highlighted it, and I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, they obviously haven't seen your content, because you lay into them quite a bit, right? So, but I mean, this is what I'm saying. This is my frustrations with YouTube, but it just turns into one big argument. I'm all about trying to find common ground. I mean, if we're going to try and turn this country around and get out of this hellhole somehow, we've got to have some sort of discourse with the other side, right? We've got to have some sort of dialogue. We've got to have some sort of common ground. And I just find these sensationalist videos hammering the other side. I just saw in the comments then, QA Library was asking about TikTok. Have I used TikTok? I've never used TikTok.
I can answer that from my perspective, because my shorts are also put on TikTok. So since it's come into effect, there's been no effect whatsoever on my views whatsoever. And I think it's because it's only mainly affecting the American part. Funny, I do have a TikTok account for wrestling, which the majority of its viewers are from America, and that has not been affected either. So I think it's really down to politics and how much views when it comes to left-leaning sort of stuff in America. I don't think it's not affected me personally, but obviously TikTokers who are more center left, it's affected them, the changes that they've had there.
Do you like use short form content yourself? Do you flick through Instagram Reels and TikTok? Do you actually consume that sort of content yourself?
I personally don't, because all I mainly do
doom scrolling, basically.
Yeah, all I do is upload the content. Sometimes I'll look at the comments on TikTok, but most of the time I don't look at many of the comments, because a lot of them are just either pro-Russian comments. I get a lot of pro-Russian comments on TikTok, believe it or not. So whenever I post something about when I do a short video about, you know, like the latest attack from Russia and Ukraine, and they say glory to Russia, I just like my first thought is like, dude, they just killed civilians, and you're saying glory to Russia. Like I'm just not even gonna waste my time. But this is the
thing, I can't stand that sort of content, the short form content. And you know, I'd like to get both your opinions on this, with both having YouTube channels. YouTube are always pushing you to make short form content, and it can grow your channel and get you subscribers and stuff like that. But I just can't stand it, because it is just, they will take snippets from a long form conversation like a podcast, and it'll be the nasty angry bits, and it is just the lowest form for me of content. It really is.
Yeah, because they'll just take it out of context, won't they?
Yeah, but they're constantly pushing for it. YouTube constantly want you to make short videos. They keep pushing for you to make short form videos, and I just can't stand that style of content. I really can't. It's just this point. The thing is, we all know this, don't we? Really, I mean, everyone knows. That's why they call it doom scrolling, right? We know that this shit is not doing us any good, right? And then, for a lot of people, it's just like, harmless, funny videos. And I guess if they're getting humor from it, then there's probably no problem. But then when it starts going to politics, that's just where it gets really toxic.
The short format, I mean, the idea is this: obviously people's attention span is much lesser than it used to be. Is that, I don't know how realistic that is. People, I don't know if people want to sound off in the comments how realistic has people's attention span gotten much shorter online when it comes to taking in content. I don't watch as much live streams as I used to. In fact, I just wait more. Sometimes if people do a live stream, I'd rather watch videos rather than a live stream, because that's, even though sometimes it's good for engagement and whatnot, it's a lot of time consuming as well. It's a lot of time consuming. Like, you're giving like you might not think that maybe like an hour or 2 hours of live stream is not a big deal, but sometimes, like, I if someone does a live stream that I really like, what I normally, if they break it up into videos, like Vosh is a great example I like to use. Like, he does long like hours and on hours of live streams on his channel in the US, but I just wait for him to pull out the videos and then I watch his videos instead, because as much as I would love to see the rest of the content on the live streams, it's just far too much.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what all our lives are doing. I mean, I'm a van driver, so I listen to them. Like, actually engaging in live streams, it takes a lot more time and effort, but I listen to so many podcasts while driving and live streams as well. But what
you only do one a week, don't you, Darren? Or sometimes you've been thinking about trying to do more, haven't you, in the past?
Yeah. I'm sort of like in between doing a little bit more, but sometimes family life gets in the way. But I do basically pitch me Friday as my time where we just have a bit of a good giggle and a bit of a good laugh, especially those who were in the corridors of power who shouldn't be anywhere near it.
Well, but before we came on, Darry, you were talking about your channel and doing more live streams, and maybe, are you getting frustrated with the more short form videos? Are you getting frustrated with the algorithms, the
what I used to, what I always I was trying to do, is, always trying to improve my video editing, make my videos better than the last one, and you spend so much time, and then I'd say mine are absolutely tanking, absolutely dying on their ass at the moment.
You need more Lee Anderson in a clown costume, like that short video. Do you remember? It's like, and considering what he did today at PMQs, you're going to need to do it again now.
I've got a little something going on that that master criminal, that dastardly criminal. Yes, but yeah, I started thinking, maybe do a because like when it comes to live stream, you like you say with Vosh, you can just cut them up. I did one for Monday where I did my live stream on Friday where I did my Anne Widdecombe voice. And so that were a good 4 or 5 minutes of hilariously fun. So, and I enjoyed doing that. So I thought I'll just do it in a bit of a video, and it was good fun. So I'm thinking maybe, because like when you're spending so much time editing, video editing, and then you're getting, you think, why don't you just do a live stream, and then just cut them up, and you've got a couple of videos there and then, don't you, really?
I get a lot of people telling me I need to edit videos, and it's just, the thing for me is I just don't have the time. Like, if I did that on top of my other work, because it's not obviously YouTube, just YouTube. Obviously, as I said before we went live, I have a wrestling page that I earn money from through Meta, so I have to commit time to that as well. And then there's also, you know, time that I want with my missus and my own free time as well. You know, I don't want to be doing content creation 24/7. Like, that's just not really, I you know, an ideal life for me. You know,
Yeah, because like
this is why it's so difficult though for just average folks to get their content out there, because it is so time consuming. You don't realize how time consuming it is. And there's, I mean, most people now, if they've got money, can throw money at it. You can get so many different apps now that are automatically chop up your videos, make shorts out of this. If you want to spend money to get CapCut Pro and all these sort of things,
Pay
you've got
for
money to
viewers.
throw at it. Yeah, you got money to throw at it. You can do it, which is such a shame.
Yeah, because like with me, I'm not on AdSense. I don't make any money out of them. Yeah, I just basically do it for just the enjoyment. And
have you always done that?
I didn't before. I didn't before, but then because it would come to the point where I was having a lot of trouble with DWP, you know, because since I won't go too far into my situation, I had to finish work on incapability because I had to have emergency spinal surgery. I had to have a disc moved, and it's absolutely destroyed my mobility. I am knackered. You know, I used to be on my feet for 8 hours working. Now, give me 10 minutes, my body's ready to break up. So I was having a lot of trouble with them. So I had to take them to a tribunal, and let's just say the tribunal in the end up, they went in my favor. So from then on, I basically went, right then, knock that on the head. I don't have to worry about, because like when you look at the job centre and you look at what's available, what you say is about carers, and I'm thinking more often than not they'll be looking after me, these people, instead of me looking after them, because I just can't do it. So I thought, well, I'm doing quite well at this. I thought if I can make a good go of this, might just say to hell with them, shove it. But anyway, it worked in my favour, so I just knocked it on the head. So I own my own home anyway. Before I had to be finished on incapability, I'd already bought my own home, so I don't have to worry about that financial side.
It's so sporadic though. That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, so for tax reasons, like you can, or no, not for tax reasons, but benefit reasons or whatever. But you just can't declare anything because it's just so up and down.
Yeah.
And one of the conversations I wanted to talk to you guys about is that when things do get monetized. So before you were monetized, Darren, but then you switched off of it. Did you get a rush when you first started getting a bit of money coming in? Did you get that sort of excitement, like a drug that, you know, like you want to keep doing it?
It was a case of it all kicked off for my channel was a time when our Spaffer Johnson were in power, and all falling around his ears, and to be honest, I'm surprised it happened. Because at the time when I first started, if anybody had told me I'd have got that many, I was doing that well, I'd have just laughed at them, because I only just fell into this just for
You've had some very good views on certain videos, haven't you?
Yeah. But like I was doing about 2 videos a day because when it came to the COVID and whatever, I needed something to keep my mind occupied, because watching my son play his Xbox all day, and while we're got COVID restrictions, I would have been absolute climbing the wall. So I had this channel even before then. I just did a bit of fun with doing a couple of videos and learning about editing, and I didn't take it seriously. And I thought, I'll go back to it and see how it goes and have a bit of fun with it. And then because I had an old channel where I would write music and record my own music just for my own fun and benefit. I'm no Bruce Springsteen, and I'm certainly no Bob Dylan when it comes to lyrics. But it was just my idea, a bit of fun. But I would write my lyrics, and then I'd get in front of this microphone, and then I could feel the cold beads of sweat going down the back of my neck, because it's not something you tend to do, start wobbling your lungs out and sounding like a cat that's been drowned in a dustbin full of water, and it just felt incredibly uncomfortable. So it basically a case of, I just think, well, you get people like Bowler Hat Man, and there were Max, and there were Phil.
Schultz.
Yeah, I'm not sure if all shots were.
Was that later on? Was it? I think it was.
Could have possibly been. So I thought, well, Bowler Hat Man, he'd go through an article or something that he wanted to read, and I thought, well, why don't I do that? Get a bit used to it, get used to hearing my own voice, not feeling uncomfortable stuck in front of this, And I thought, well, nobody will want to listen to this dour old boring Yorkshire bloke from top north. And for some strange reason, people started to subscribe, and you get that little sense of responsibility, don't you? And you feel, well, they've subscribed to my channel, and you just think, so, well, I better keep doing this, keep doing it, carrying on, and then when it hits, especially when it came to the select committees meetings and the stuff that are happening in the House of Commons, my channel just absolutely blew up. I would get to a point where I was getting about 1,000 subs a week.
Yeah, there were some really good videos that you'd done there. I remember seeing quite a few of those myself, because that was the thing. Like, people doing their lives and that, they don't get to watch all those committee meetings and every single Prime Minister's questions and stuff. So it was some really good content there. But it was interesting. What, that we're human, right? And when you get a few views, you get a bit of a buzz, and you think, it is almost like a drug. And Kevin said something interesting in the chat, actually. If you want to get hundreds of thousands of subscribers, you need to talk absolute bull muck about immigration, asylum seekers, Muslims, grooming gangs, be very angry and spread hatred and division. And it's an interesting point, because this is why I started doing my channel in the first place, because YouTube seemed to be, at the time, saturated. It was just after COVID, but it was saturated with very right-wing van drivers in their vans doing those sorts of videos, and I was getting sick and tired of it. I was like, there's people with different views.
Not every van driver's like that. I'm going to show you all
kind of had a
responsibility
for van drivers to stick up. But he makes a very good point there, Kevin. And this is a problem that I think we have on YouTube, is when monetization comes into it and people start earning money, it's dangerous, and they all gear their content into the anti-migration stuff, or even there's great content creators out there, and you mentioned some great people on the left, but it happens on the left as well. People chase money, and they know what gets views, and this is why I think YouTube has just turned into this massive battleground now between left-wing content and right-wing content. And I just don't think it solves anything. I just think it just gets people angry, doesn't help people's mental health and everything. And
you want me to be blunt? YouTube doesn't care. YouTube doesn't care about the arguments and the whatnot. The main thing that they want is driving engagement. And if you go on a rant and rave or be angry or whatnot, they may boost that because it's something. Oh, this might be something. It could be something that could be worth attaching to more, boosting to more people than you know. The like you say there. Obviously, I think everybody is driven. I speak from from someone that when I left my full-time job and I actually started this. I actually remember the first time before I even got monetized. I remember the first time someone bought me a coffee. From the Buy Me a Coffee link, or someone actually joined the Patreon before he even was monetized, and it was like, even though it was like just a couple of quid, it was still like, wow, like that's so, like, for me, it made me feel humbled You know, it made me feel humbled. And then when I got monetization, like I wasn't expecting an explosion of super chats or gifting memberships, but that's exactly what happened on the first live stream, which was like, what on earth is going on? Like, why? Like in my back of my mind, I'm like, it's you know, I take this, I try to be as humble as I possibly can with it, because it's people giving, because it's not just people who give up their time to watch our content as well, but when they go that step further of leaving super chats or joining the membership or joining your memberships and whatnot, it's a show of not just them being a part of the community, but showing that they really invest in you, that they really believe in you, believe in what you're talking about, whatever it is, or whatever your content is. And I take that. So I always try to be as humble as I can about it, because it's something like there could become a day where, for whatever reason, some of the people who do that can stop doing it for all sorts of reasons, you know. And there are lots of people who are watching right now who can't afford to do that because they're struggling day by day. You know, everyone's situation is different. I'm nowhere near earning the money that I used to earn when I was working full time. Nowhere near it. And obviously my situation right now, I'm still demonetized. By the way, if anyone's wondering, I'm still waiting for my appeal. If anyone's wondering what's that situation, I'm still waiting for that, unfortunately. But even though I'm currently demonetized, like this past month, like I've had so many generous people, part of my community, keeping me going, whether it's buying me coffees or joining my Patreon just to keep me going. And I can't tell you just how much that means to me. And it really does. It incentivizes me to work harder, because it means that people believe in me so much there. And I don't ever, there's a part of me is like, I don't always like telling people to, if you can buy me a coffee and all that. I don't like it, part of me, because it's like, you know, it comes across
feel like you're begging, don't you?
Yeah. And I don't like saying it. I'll say it once, sometimes twice in a live stream, but that's about it. Because if I feel like if I say it too many times, then you're coming across as a bit of a beggar asking people for money. And it's like, well, you're going against what you're like, your principle sort of thing. Like, you're supposed to be doing this because of you know, like, I wish I was earning money through advertisement rather than from people personally. But I
think that's quite a left-wing thing as well. I think like people on the left don't want to ask for money and don't want to be like capitalist or whatever. You know, I think this is a thing where we don't want to earn money from this. But if you're doing it full time and you're dedicating your time to it, but you know, people will give if they can give. But you know, this is what I'm saying about the direction that I'm really interested in now.
I always say to people, sorry, I just wanted to say, like, I always say to people, like, every now and then I'll say to people like that, if you can support me financially, thank you, appreciate it, and all that stuff. But if you can't support me financially, just like, share, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Even that just makes a difference, even if you can't financially support me, because you're still supporting the channel and everything, even if you can't financially support. And I say, like, the most important thing is I say this, like, because I generally mean this, like, take care of yourself, take care of people around you before you even think about financially supporting me in any way, you know, because that's the human in me personally.
This is the fight that you have to deal with as a content creator, though, is that you're up against the magical algorithm of YouTube, and if you don't play the game, you don't do the exact right titles or the exact right thumbnails. You know, you could do like 100 different variations of a title and a thumbnail for one video, and 99 will do terrible, and that one last one suddenly will blow up. These are the things that you're having to fight against. So if you can build a community of people that are just interested in your content, and you put out good long form content, good chats with people, good conversational content, and just grow subscribers, people that are loyal to you, I think that's a much more valued way to go, and that's what I'm looking at doing. Because honestly, I'm fed up with that game. I really am fed up with having to microanalyze what title I'm going to put on my video. And you know, most people are using AI to come up with their titles now anyway, which is why you have these such sensationalist titles every single video now. Is you know, and I understand. I do them in my videos. I know you use them in your videos, Darren, as well, because this is what YouTube is now. This is what you have to do to get your
Yeah.
content seen, to get views. And you know, I
Yeah.
can't stand it. I really can't
Yeah.
stand it.
I think sometimes when it comes to my titles, it's more often than not just a bit of force of habit, and sometimes I need to have a bit of a reality check because of the simple reason, I'm not making money out of it. So if it bombs, it's not the end of the world because. But as I say, when it comes to Reagan Late's channel, it's more of your livelihood than it'll be for me. And like I remember when it came to our last, what it could have been his last chance time when we had a round table, or what it. The other one before, I can't quite remember, where somebody mentioned how can we fund, you know, me and my channel fund me, and I just basically said, you know, all you just do is just like and subscribe, and you know, just watch the content and like it and share it.
You are in a very unique position where you're just doing this solely for your love of doing it, which
Yeah.
I think really purifies your content, because you've got no ulterior motives other than just the enjoyment of what you do.
Yeah.
And you know, I had to take a break from YouTube for 9 months because I was getting to that stage where I was a bit of an addict with it. And when a little bit of money came in, I was like, you know, I still sort of held on to my core political beliefs and believed that the content that I was making was putting the word out there and stuff. But I would chase views in certain areas, you know. I kind of hated myself for doing it. And this is why I just had to take a massive break. And it done me the world of good taking a break. Though I took 9 months off from politics altogether, like literally everything, not just YouTube.
Absolutely, totally.
Yeah, absolutely everything.
Wow.
I got rid of all social media. I didn't listen to a single political podcast. Okay, you know, Trump getting elected or whatever that would be on the news or stuff like that. But I took a sole 9 months away, and it really gave a new perspective when I came back. And eventually the curiosity took, because it's hard. But I mean, obviously we're all interested in politics, and I don't think you can just take that away. You can't shut it in a door somewhere. You're always going to have that interest, and it's sort of going to build up, and the door's going to open eventually, and you're going to be flooded. But when I came back to politics, I had a whole different mindset, and the main mindset that I had was just trying to get over this tribalism. I was so invested in it before. I was like, right, this is my tribe. I'm left wing, and I will fight vigilantly the other side, and anything the other side say is absolute nonsense, and they don't get anything right whatsoever, and they're wrong about every single thing. And that's what I was like. And it took us like a step away for me to realize, you know what? You know, reform voters are my postman, or that guy, that dad at the school gate that I chat to, you know, and my family members. I have family members that are reform
speaking my world there. Totally speaking my world. I remember it just reminded me of a situation. It was not long after the referendum vote, you know, where we basically voted to punch yourselves in the face. And a lot of my friends who were on Facebook, they were all your UKIP type, you know, the evil overlords of the EU and all that. And somebody sent me a clip of some guy from Barnsley, you know, with flat cap on, whip it down his pants, and Daily Mail under his arm on Question Time, and he's talking about that you lot don't understand the reason why we want to get rid of all these immigrants and all that, and he and he didn't expect the reply I gave him. I said, I don't know what you're sending me this, but I don't really care about immigration really, because you know, I even said I actually think immigration is a positive thing, and the shock emojis I got, and somebody said, and somebody put on this says, no point talking to that man, he's alone. And these people, the amount of people who went after him for calling me alone, they said, leave him alone. Darren's an absolute perfect gentleman. He said he has different political views than us, but he doesn't think traitors are always stupid or thick. He's an absolute gentleman. So I totally get where you come from on that.
Well, that was definitely, I always think that was what started the political divide in this country. I mean, literally, Nigel Farage put a complete wedge down the country and said, right, everyone, pick a team. And then we've had we've had the last 10 years of still arguing this. But I've seen, like, I don't know if you remember, like in the sort of early 2010s, there was this big thing on YouTube. YouTube was still pretty early, but there was this massive thing about sort of like religious videos, like Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins and stuff, where it would be like creationist versus religious person. They'd argue about evolution. And that was like the start of people just loving people arguing online.
Yeah.
They just loved it. It was so juicy, and they kept clicking and clicking. And then it kind of turned into politics with Brexit and Trump. But around that time of the referendum was when sort of people that you've been friends with all your life would suddenly start posting Britain First posts on Facebook and stuff. Yeah. That's when the algorithm started infecting them. And, like, you know, I've never blamed people for getting sucked into those algorithms. I've always said that I could have gone down that road. I really could have gone down that road, especially during Brexit. I could have quite easily been a Leave voter if the right algorithm had got into my social media feed. And, you know, all these things, you know, these Britain First posts around the time would be like, you know, 400 new council houses in the city and 300 of them are going to asylum seekers. And you're like, well, you know, the average person that doesn't really care about politics will see that and go, oh, but, you know, that's a bit unfair. You know, there's loads of people that have been on waiting lists. You know, they're so, you know, the way that they conceive these posts, and, you know, it's the same now with YouTube videos. They're so juicy and engaging. So, you know, I've never really blamed anyone for going down those algorithm rabbit holes, but that was definitely when it started. The referendum was when all those arguments that we used to enjoy online, maybe it was just religion and stuff like that, just descended into politics. And now we just live in a country that just hates each other, and it's so frustrating. It really is frustrating, because there is so much more that we actually agree on than disagree on. There really is. You know, if you talk to a lot of reform voters, like, shelve immigration for a second, but put that away. But if you talk to them, you know, do you think we should have more council housing? Yeah, I think we should definitely build more council housing. You know, do you think we should have more workers' rights? Yeah, you know, there's so much that we do generally agree on, but we just, you know, the YouTube algorithm, the social media algorithm is constantly pushing the immigration narrative, because so many people are monetized and getting money from it, and this is what it comes back to.
It's the politicians, obviously, when they are talking non-stop about it, when the media, mainstream media, are talking non-stop about it, it drives everyone towards that conversation, because it's like, well, if you're talking about something else, are you going to get as much engagement if you're not talking about that specific conversation there? As you were just saying there, obviously, about, you know, the whole Brexit part and that, and I've said this before on my channel, like, I voted to leave, even though I didn't fully understand and knew everything at the time. You know, I wasn't neck deep in politics at all. It wasn't until after, when I understood, you know, just how bad the vote is, and I regret my vote.
What was your decision at the time?
Wasn't actually immigration, because I used to work in retail, and there were lots of different people with you know, I didn't have a problem with working with so many different people and all that kind of stuff, because I actually loved it. I remember once I worked in a Superdrug store where I was actually at one point the only white British person in there, and everybody else was from different backgrounds, and it never fazed me at all. It was you know, there was a sense of I think I was feeling a sense of, like, a lot of other people was like, you know, things were not getting better. People were not, like, and I just had this. I felt like, yeah, people were trying to ram it down my throat. Oh, you should rejoin, stay with the EU and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, I felt like it was being rammed down my throat, especially at work. People at work were constantly ramming it down my throat, and I didn't like that. And I kind of just based my opinion on the fact, oh, maybe if we leave, we can change a few laws and whatnot. I think my opinion was, my vote was nothing to do with immigration. People will disagree, but it was.
Well, no, what you just said makes total sense, and I've heard that story replayed so many times. Is basically people voted to leave because they were sick and tired of liberal lefties telling them what to do. All these people, you know, they just wanted to stick it to them. And also, there's so many anecdotal reasons to leave the EU around the time as well. Like I know someone that literally wanted to leave the EU because there was some EU regulation and he had to change some of the equipment in his business or something. And that just stuck with him. You know, that was probably really painful for him. You know, he probably had to spend a lot of money. But that just stuck with him for years and years and years. It's like, no, we've got to leave the EU and, you know, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as I always say, which is the exact thing. Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of things with the EU, but we're obviously going to be better in it. But it's interesting what you say, Regan, because that is, you know, so many people went down that same road that you went down of just getting sick of people telling them what to do. And that's just politics in general. People are sick. That's why they're voting for Nigel Farage, because they're just sick and tired of the same old suits coming out, whether it's Starmer, whether it's Sunak, whether it's Cameron. It's just the same tired politicians coming out telling us what we want to hear, and they want to shake it up. And, you know, exactly the same as Trump in America.
I mean, Lee Corn in the chat, who hit the nail on the head there. It was really about giving a black eye to the government, because obviously the whole austerity, we all need to tighten our budgets, tighten our strings, all that kind of stuff. And everyone was like we were putting up with this since 2010. And it's just like, why are we all getting worse off? Like when you know, when is the good times coming back? Like all this kind of stuff. And it was just like, this was just getting to people, you know, it was getting to people. Myself, along with so many people, were voting for something that we did not understand. We were never fully, the mainstream media did not fully explain the ramifications of what would happen if we had left. You know, it was always about like the so much pro-leave content was from the mainstream media and online. There was not enough of the space was made about the Remain at the time, and I think that, for me, is what triggered a lot of questions about the BBC as well, from that point as well, where a lot of the trust of the BBC has been undermined from that point on. And I don't blame people for turning their backs on the BBC after that, because they were very biased towards the Leave. They gave more time to Leave campaign than they did to the Remain campaign. Like, they had Nigel Farage on Question Time, God knows how many times during that period as well.
I just think the Remain argument was just boring, just dull and boring. And I think that's what lost it. There was no excitement there, is it? There's something to get excited about when you want to, I want my own laws, I want my own borders. You know, it's patriotic and it's exciting, but boring economics.
They never talked about the positives either, did they?
No. But yeah, I had that's when, around that time, when I started actually getting into politics. Sort of, I actually first started getting into politics because of Russell Brand, which is a really bad thing to say, obviously, because he's gone completely the other way. But in the early 2000s, he used to do really, really good content on YouTube, and he just used to do this video every day where he'd just grab the Sun and just rip it apart, just absolutely destroy every single segment for the bias and stuff. And that's he was the guy that first got me sort of thinking, oh shit, you know, maybe you shouldn't actually just believe everything that you read. You know, maybe there's these newspapers are proper. I was never into politics before that. So by the time of the referendum, I was quite into politics, but I had to stop myself from having so many arguments with my dad, and because he was so staunch Leave, my stepmom as well, and I had to bite my tongue so many times when I was around there. I mean, I've had him on the channel before, and we've had a long chat about it, and he completely regrets it now. He realizes. Well, I think most people do, Darren. Really, I mean,
Interesting.
here's a question for you both. Then, if there was a referendum, which I think it's not a crazy possibility in the future with everything that's going on in America. I think a hell of a lot of people in this country would rather move far closer to Europe. All our military ties with America, we can't even fire a nuclear missile without the American say so, and navigation devices and stuff. But France have got all that stuff, haven't they? So I think closer ties with Europe is something that people are yearning for. So it's not out of this world to actually have another referendum on Europe coming through. What would you, both of you, guess that the result would be if there was a referendum to rejoin?
Please, please, Darcy.
It would be Remain. I'm pretty strongly on that, but I don't think we're going to be having that vote until at least another 20, 30, maybe 50 years.
Oh, I don't know whether that long.
No. The big problem is that it's all well and good saying that the public want it. The problem is that while as long as you have right-wing parties who are hell-bent on sticking with Brexit, and you have Reform and the Conservatives who are not going to budge whatsoever on this position, and until you have the majority of the political parties swing to say that we need to have a referendum, it's completely pointless to have this discussion, because all that's going to happen is you get let's just say hypothetically, whether it's let's say hypothetically you get the Green Party in for whatever reason, or a coalition of the Greens or Labour or whatever, right, and they vote to go back into the EU, right? None of that matters if you're going to get a right-wing government, which you will inevitably get a Conservative or Reform or whatever down the road, who are just going to pull us out again, because their policy has always been that they back Brexit, they back the policy of that. You need to have at least 70-80% of the UK population on board with it, and you need to have all the political parties on board with it. Otherwise, there's just no point having the conversation, because all you're going to do is just waste time and money, and you're also going to undermine the EU's relationship as well. So there's just no point having that conversation within the next 5-10 years. Yes, I understand where you're coming from, of we need to move closer to the EU and all that kind of stuff. The problem is we've got right-wing parties who are very favorable with the public, and unless that position changes, there's no point having that discussion.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely dependent on which governments come in this country and America. So if you've got a situation where Nigel Farage gets in the next election, and
I don't think he's going to say it's time to join the European Union if he comes in.
Let me finish my point, Regan. Let me finish my point. So if you've got a Nigel Farage government and it's absolutely horrendous, which it would be over 5 years, it's absolutely terrible. And if JD Vance gets in after Trump and America keep going in the direction that they're going in, I think after that period, there'd be massive public opinion to rejoin the EU. I think if it's a complete and utter shit show in this country and further in America, that's the time when. Do you not agree?
Just had a thought in my head.
I mean, obviously, right now, yeah, it looks like we're going to have a Reform government, but obviously, there's still time between now and the next general election.
Oh yeah, I mean, I hope it doesn't go that way. I really do.
We are looking at hypotheticals here. I also think, though, that there is one thing that we have here in our system compared to America, is that Parliament does have and the House of Lords do have some checks and balances to a certain extent on the government. So it might not be as disastrous as in America. I'm not going to say it isn't going to be disastrous, but I don't know if it will be as bad as it is in America. But again, until we're in that position, I don't know. And I don't see this as I don't see a Reform government is going to make everyone make literally like 80-90% of the population stand up and say we have to join the European Union. I don't know if it will work like that. It really is about how much we campaign and how much we drive that engagement with the next generation of youngsters about the benefits of being a part of the EU. That conversation, and that's obviously the Green Party in England are doing a very good job of that. Obviously the SNP in Scotland. I'm assuming Plaid Cymru will obviously that will be their position in Wales. I don't know if that's their official policy. I don't know for sure. But if someone wants to point out in the chat, feel free to do so. But at the moment, it's not. I don't see it as of right now. Can I see in the next few years us going from the kind of the grass where we are right now in terms of Leave and Remain? Can I see it switching in the next couple of years, going from 50 to 60-40 to going to 90% of the entire UK population saying, yeah, we have to rejoin the EU? I'm not entirely convinced on that just yet.
I'll say I've just had a bit of a
Oh,
it's a little bit my juvenile sense of humour. You know, I'm like, if we did have a referendum and it went in favour of rejoining 52-48, now is that the will of the people? The people.
No, Nigel Farage.
That's a good point, though. That's a good point.
Because
Okay.
that's what you always hear, don't you? I hear it many times from them. So, are you going to ignore the will of 17-point-odd million people who voted to leave? But then there's the case of about the same amount voted to remain, and the same amount of people didn't vote at all. So
Yeah.
is it really the will? But yeah. But,
All right. Well, we'll shelve Brexit for a minute. If we take the same scenario, where is the direction that America's going in at the moment going to stop a Nigel Farage government being voted in over here? If we're seeing more and more of what's happening in Minneapolis and Greenland and all the crazy shit that Trump's going, are people going to be put off from voting for Nigel Farage?
I think the answer is depends on the language and how Nigel Farage responds to what's happening there in regards to his relationship with Donald Trump. I think
he's been pretty quiet, hasn't he? I don't know. Maybe you're more
walking a very
news, don't you? But
I think he's walking a very tight rope of not agreeing with what Trump is saying, but not criticizing him and his administration. And I think that's the way he's trying to do it. He's trying to do it in such a way where he doesn't criticize the Trump administration, but also to imply that I'm still with the British public. I still stand with them. I agree with them that this is not right, but not going as far as to say like the whole British veterans thing. Yeah, like when they got slandered, like Nigel Farage was dead quiet on it all. Like he's very articulate to be careful not to criticize Trump. I think I wonder. I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that. I mean, obviously, if he introduces some kind of British style ICE force, I mean, they won't call it ICE here. They'll call it something else because obviously they don't.
But I mean, he said that he's going to do that, right? I mean, he's going to do deportation, so that would involve some sort of, call it what you want, you know, some sort of force going in, detaining people and deporting them.
But how much does the British public? How much do people who are reform voters want that? I think that's another question.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because you're actually physically seeing it now. So people, like, you know, when Farage announces that we're going to deport illegal immigrants, well, most reform voters are like, yeah, okay, great. But when you actually see how that is actually going to be playing out and how people are going to get caught in the crossfire and innocent people are going to end up being murdered, you know, people actually see the realities of it now. You know, I've always said that the advantage that we've got of constantly being 5 years behind America is at least we can see the shit show that's going on over there.
I just want to respond to a comment Simon says then that Simon says in the chat there saying Nigel wanted to give in Greenland. He didn't actually say that when he was asked directly about it. What he specifically said was does he specific comments at Davos, I believe it was, when he was asked these questions, right? So he specifically said that would it be better in terms of NATO security if the United States was starting Greenland? Yes, I do. However, if he said basically, if you believe in sovereignty, in the will of democracy, that kind of lines, then yeah, it should be decided by the will of the people.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say the sovereignty of the people that live in Greenland.
So in his mind, yes, absolutely, Simon. Behind the scenes, off camera, yes, he would have said that. But publicly, he's going along the point because he's got to be on the pitch of sovereignty, and all that kind of stuff, because obviously it goes with these people's narrative, isn't it? So there.
Do you think that I don't understand how Trump is going to back down on this now? I mean, he's not a man to lose face, right? And he's doing exactly that. He's backing down.
You mean with
Greenland? Yeah.
Well, I'd say the thing is, I don't even think, I'm starting to think, you look at his cognitive decline, I'm not even sure he's quite all there himself. Because how many times have you heard him say that when somebody says, you said this, and he'll say, did I?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of talk about his health, massively.
He has stepped back a little bit. He has stepped back from Greenland because he had that meeting with the NATO secretary, didn't he, at Davos? So he kind of rolled back on, you know, the threats of tariffs and all that kind of stuff. I can't remember his name. Someone in the chat will mention the guy's name, because I think so. Someone in the chat will mention his name, but he's very good at Rutt. Yeah, I think you're right, Darren. He's very good at appealing to Donald Trump in a way that benefits NATO, the EU, and keeping Trump happy. So he obviously, I can't remember what he said. I don't know what he said behind closed doors, but he made Trump roll back the threats of tariffs and about acquiring Greenland, because he kind of like said, we'll talk more down the road sort of thing about it. Because after that meeting, his opinion about invading Greenland and capturing Greenland completely stopped after that conversation. So
they probably told him they don't have any McDonald's there, so right, deals off.
He's got it on the plane ready to, you know, he's got that plane, isn't he, with the McDonald's ready to take over to go to wherever he goes there.
I don't understand, like, how is that guy not? I mean, just his diet, just everything. How is
he deal with the devil?
How the hell is he still functioning?
Yes, he is the same NATO secretary who called Donald Trump daddy in the White House. Yes, that is true.
Yes, he called me Daddy Trump.
Yes, he definitely did say that. That's how to appeal to him.
It's absolutely not. I mean, that's another question. Will they vote? Obviously, Trump can't do another term, but will they vote JD Vance in? I mean, come on, man. Even like the Americans are not that crazy, are they? Surely. I mean, I don't want to underestimate it. They've been pretty insane in the past, but I mean, seeing everything that's going on, like, Trump supporters are so bizarre, because it is just a cult. And there was a weird thing, like in this country as well recently, with the comments that he made about British soldiers backing away from the front line in Afghanistan, even though we lost about 450 soldiers, I think, in Afghanistan. But I saw actual UK military still supporting this guy. It's just cult status, isn't it? These Trump, they're kind of like him. They just can't back down. They can't admit when someone's wrong, and I don't understand that, because I don't know, like Zach Polanski is a good example. I like a lot of what he says, but there's some things that he said that I really disagree with, and I'm not afraid to say I disagree. You said something wrong then. But these Trump supporters just can't admit says something wrong ever, even though he says the absolute most nuttiest things in the world. I mean, that whole Davos speech was just mental. I think there was probably like about 200 lies in that whole speech. It's just like, yeah, you know, I'm the greatest president ever. The economy is just the greatest ever. Inflation has never been lower, never ever in the history. Just absolute shite for like a whole 20-minute speech. And they all defend him. But the shocking thing for me was just UK military. I've seen there's a couple of YouTubers that are ex-military, right-wing ones that were just vigilantly supporting these comments. I'm like, how can you do that? 450 lives lost, British lives lost in Afghanistan. You can support a man that says that we weren't on the front lines and we didn't really need you. Where has Britain been when we need you? Well, it's just,
Do you know what actually was
cool.
really terrible was, you know, he didn't just obviously he slandered all NATO troops, of course, not just obviously British,
Yeah.
but lots of different troops, right? And then did you see the tweet he did about how grateful he was for British soldiers? So he didn't apologize for his comments, but he basically said Britain has some of the greatest British soldiers ever, as his way of kind of pulling himself back on it, basically saying that Britain has some of the greatest British soldiers, all this kind of stuff. They're the best in the world, behind the United States, of course, and all this kind of stuff, like proper sucking up to British veterans and whatnot, but made no reference whatsoever to any other NATO troops who fought and died for them after 9/11 and of course the invasion of Iraq.
Well, Denmark, who own Greenland, lost the most soldiers per percentage of population, isn't it? It's just it's crazy. But these ex-UK military that I was talking about with YouTube channel kind of brings me full circle into what I'm talking about monetization corrupting your views, because I've spoke to some of these, and I've when I've done live chats before with some right-wing YouTube channels, I've got a few contacts of a few people, and I do actually speak to some of them on WhatsApp now and again, and they will openly admit to me some of their views are completely different offline to what they are online, but they understand that they have a business to run on YouTube and they're making lots of money, so they can't say these things. And some even left-wing creators have said the same thing to me. There's things that they'd like to say online, but they're not allowed to because they don't want to upset their viewers, and it's a business for them. And you know, this is the sad state of affairs where we're at, where no one can really say what they feel because they're monetized and they're making money. And this is what drives some of the just poisonous content that you see out there on YouTube, because they're just going down these holes. There was an example the other day. It's not political, but you're familiar with the comedian Rosie Jones? She's got cerebral palsy. She came out with she just was doing an interview and was talking about how she finds some comedians offensive and stuff, and pointed out some particular comedians, and then suddenly just all over YouTube, all these right-wing YouTubers thought, yeah, great, let's make some money on this, let's just hammer this poor woman, just like, oh, you're against freedom of speech, and you know the type, right? All these videos just started springing up, getting hundreds of thousands of views, just making money off of this woman's just a conversation that she had. And this is the thing, going full circle with this conversation. This is what I really can't stand. I can't stand people making money out of just pumping absolute poison into the viewers of YouTube that are just lapping it up like drug addicts. Give me more anger, give me more content that is showing up these poor left-wing comedians. It's just I hate it, guys. I really do hate it. It really gets on my nerves.
It's like a loop, really, with YouTube, because it's like one starts, and it's like if you're these. Obviously, I don't do it because I personally think it's not worth. I don't think it's personally worth my time. Never mind whether it makes me more money or not. It's not worth my time responding to a content creator with a certain comments that they say. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, there's a lot of things about Phil Morehouse, for example, and he's got a big following and subscribers and whatnot. There's a lot of things that I disagree with, things that he says on his channel, because he's very pro-labor, right? And there are times where I felt like I wanted to do a video response to some of the things he said, but I just feel like, but it's just not my style. It's not who I am, and it's just like, what am I achieving by engaging with this? Even if whether my points are valid or not valid, what do I benefit from it? What is, like, I'm thinking about what all I'm doing is starting up a, like, what I don't see. For me, it's like, even if it makes me money, I'm just thinking about, well, how would my community feel if I just started slandering different YouTubers, people that I don't know or whatnot, and just started saying, well, why are they talking about this, or why are they saying about this? And I'm just like, but it goes against what my channel is all about, and that is providing news from my perspective and my views. And
That's really good, right? It's really good.
there's a lot of times where I'm like, I want to stick my head out and say to certain YouTubers, hey, you shouldn't be talking or saying this. But it's like even on Twitter, because I regularly use Twitter, like there's been many times where I want to respond to a tweet, and I'm literally saying this. I'm literally typing the tweet, ready to press reply, and then at the last minute I just delete it and then cancel it and just carry on, because it's just like, it's just not worth the hassle.
The sad state of affairs, Regan, is that if you put out a video tomorrow titled "Phil Morehouse talks more shit," it'll explode. It'll get loads of views, but be like, oh, confrontational, or left-wing commentators got argument. And I've felt guilty of this massively. I mean, this is what I used to do constantly, all the time. I would just pick apart people's videos and stuff, and cause sensationalism and cause aggro. And
can I ask you, how did it make you feel when you did those videos, and after you put them out, how did you feel about when you did those response videos? How did it make you feel personally?
If I was really, because the majority of them were sort of against right-wing YouTubers and stuff, that was what I always used to do. And because I was staunch in my beliefs, I felt I was justified in what I was doing, and I felt good. But then when I came back and made videos, I was upsetting more sort of left-wing commentators, and that's when I realized it didn't really make me feel good, and I wasn't really bringing any positive or benefit to the world. Like, I mean, the most recent one, which wasn't that long ago at all, was your guys' friends, the two Davies, and I would have much rather have had a conversation with him like we're having right now than do a reply video to his video, because I was sort of having a go at him for doing what I was doing back to him, and it was stupid, really. I mean, his video took me by surprise anyway, because I wasn't familiar with the guy, but sometimes when it's personal against you do sort of go on the attack straight away. And that reply video I done within minutes, and it was uploaded, and afterwards I thought, I probably shouldn't have done that. I knew that you knew him. It probably would have been better to try and have a conversation with him. And the thing is, like, when I've seen him on your channels and that, he seems like a really nice guy.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd love to chat to him, but he was just guilty of the same thing that I've been guilty of. He sort of reacted to a video that I'd done, and I imagine, I don't know, maybe he stands by it, but maybe he didn't like what he done afterwards. Probably wasn't expecting me to see it.
See, the trouble is with me, when it comes to all this stuff, I've seen when you're talking about disagreeing with somebody, and you see some people who make videos, I tend to view them as a little bit like carpetbaggers, a little bit, because my view, I'm too laid back for all of that. I'm just so laid back. If they hear something I disagree with, I think, not sure I agree with that, and then just move on with my day. And so it's a case of, if I do something to really annoy my wife, she'll want to have it out with me, and she'll have the rush of blood to her head, and I'll just say, yeah, you're probably right, and say, Darren, will you bloody argue with me? No, it's just not me.
Well, I mean, there is a good argument for getting it all out in the open, I guess, isn't there, and thrashing it out.
Because like usually I'll just say, yeah, you're probably right. I'm acting like a bit of a prat.
So I don't want to pry. Obviously, there was the story on, I think it was Monday or over the weekend, where Supertansky doesn't want to associate herself anymore with Politics Social and Graham Hughes's group. Obviously, I don't know the context But for me, it's just like a case of, some things are best not asked about, that don't best not to pry into these things, like, unless they tell you what it is. Sometimes the best thing is just not to ask about these things,
Yeah. I mean, she in particular does. I mean, she gets a hell of a lot of online grief.
Yeah,
and
she gets so much
completely
abuse.
understand. I had a little thing with her before, but recently we actually we exchanged a few messages, cleared the air a little bit, which was good. And I didn't realize just how much hate she gets online. It's absolutely ridiculous, and the disgusting things that she gets sent to her. So I understand why she takes things personally, because that's what I can understand. I done a video when I came back from my break, and I was basically just talking about everything we talked about at the beginning of this video, the sort of videos that are constantly attacking reform voters and that. And I mentioned her, but I also mentioned people like Max and stuff like that, and Curtis.
I remember that.
Turn Left. And they got back to me. They were like, you know what, I can completely understand what you're saying, but she took it quite personally, and I couldn't understand. But then when I found out that she's constantly always on the defensive, because she's having to be, because she's just getting so attacked on a daily basis from people every single day, from men just attacking her, sending her disgusting things, that as soon as her name's mentioned or something she doesn't like, she's on the defensive. And I completely understand why. And I didn't actually know about that, but something's obviously happened that's upset her. But I understand why I do understand why she's like that, because it's hard, man. It really is. I mean, I spoke briefly about some online hate that I got, but it was very, very brief. But she's getting it on a daily basis, and
and she's on. I don't know, like, she still uses Twitter and whatnot, and like, I don't follow her like as closely as other people do. But I mean this sincerely. Like, as long like I want her to be, as long as, like, I say this, I generally mean this, regardless of however people may feel about her, as long as she's healthy and happy, that's the most important thing. And sometimes you have to sever ties with people that maybe are not in your best interest, even if you have agreements with their political views or alignments. Like, sometimes things happen and you're not with people anymore. I generally mean that. I've never actually reached out to her to have on my channel in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if she ever would be interested, if I'm honest. But I would love to have a conversation with her. Not just about politics, but lots of things. But I don't know if she would ever be interested in that personally. But
like I say, I've exchanged a few messages with her, and that's it really. And it was nice. But I've said to her myself, I personally just think that she would be far happier. Like, if she wants to still dip her toe into social media, I think she'd be far happier maybe just doing a weekly live stream and just getting out of it, because politics is so toxic and it's obviously affecting her. And I realize it's not her fault. She shouldn't have to give up this just because a load of sick men are sending her stuff every single day. But we only get one opportunity at life, folks. If you're just spending every single day getting that sort of abuse, and if doing political content is just so that mind sapping for you that it's just infecting your whole life and messing with your mental health, I'd say to her, is it worth it? I don't know whether it is, and it's just too toxic sometimes. It really is.
And this is where this is where it kind of ties into mental health, which is another thing why your mental health and your well-being, which is why you took a step away when you did, on politics, because it's just so negative and it's so down. Like, it's not good to be like to do that. I mean, the difference I would say for me is that I don't really spend time looking at politics too much on the weekends, because I'm with my partner, and I also have wrestling, which I'm very invested in. Like I said, I earn money from my Facebook page, which is like something like a different world. Well, I wouldn't say completely different world, because there's still politics in the sense of there is tribalism, unfortunately, in wrestling, like there is in politics, which I I absolutely hate, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
It's
you
in
know?
everything, Regan.
Yeah,
it's in
yeah,
football, it's in
that.
Formula One, it's in music. It's if someone can have an argument about something, they'll have an argument about it.
Yeah, and it's like I just don't respond to even the tribalism in wrestling, because it's like all I'm doing is just going down a hole that's just going to upset me more and more. And sometimes the best thing is to say nothing at all. Sometimes,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But obviously, I mean, specifically politics, though. I mean, yeah, since I took that break, I've really seriously tried to just reduce the amount of politics in my life. Obviously, we all have a keen interest in it. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing if we don't. But I stick to sort of a couple of weekly podcasts and a couple of creators that I really trust on a weekly basis. And the thing is, it's hard because it creeps in, like everything that's been going on with Trump and everything recently. I've found that I've been taking in more and more political content, but I've had to sort of shut it down a little bit because it does get too much.
Sometimes all you can do is just literally laugh about it, and just because otherwise, if you don't laugh, you're just going to cry and feel sad about it. So sometimes the best way out of it is just to laugh at it all, which is why Friday Frolics with Darren and Daily Blase is one of the fun shows, because he can he gets a lot of funny stuff and turns all this stuff into laughter. You know, I'm sure he's going to have stuff to make about Suella Braverman defecting to Reform.
Oh yes.
Excellent. Well, on that note, Ian, it's about time to finish up because I've got to early start tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So that brings it full circle. So Darren, what have you got coming up on your channel this week then for any of my viewers?
Well, I'm going to have a bit of a good giggle at 30p Lee tomorrow, just for the good giggles, Fritz and giggles, you know, where he totally proves that he's never ripped up his TV license, and we'll leave it at that. And Friday is my Friday Frolic, where we just basically spend a couple of hours just having fits and giggles and welcoming the weekend, because like there's so much nonsense that happens through the week. I view Friday as time to chill out and relax. And it's good for your mental health as well, I suppose, in a way.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So yeah, go check out Daily Blase, guys, if you haven't already. And Regan, you got anything coming up this week?
So yeah, I've actually got 2 live streams. Well, I've got quite a few live streams actually. So I have every Monday to Friday, I have a show called Good Morning with myself at 11 a.m. I do go for about an hour every Monday to Friday, where we look at what the news is talking about. So whatever what on the websites themselves, and we have a look and see what the stories are saying. So I do that for about an hour every Monday to Friday. So you guys want to check that out. Be doing it again tomorrow. If you guys want to join me for that, feel free to do so. Tomorrow I'm doing actually a live stream I've never done before. It's called a non-political live stream. And I'm actually in it, and this first one, I don't know how it's going to go. It's the first time I've done this before. And it's basically, this one I'm going to be talking about specifically about films and movies. And I'm going to be sharing my films and movies that I used to watch and some that I watch now and whatnot, and kind of just share my passion with it. So What's your
favorite film?
Right now, one of my favorite films is American Gangster. Actually, of all films. Believe it or not, there's so many. There is the reason why it's one.
That's such a hard question.
Yeah, but there's a scene in the film. I'm actually going to save it for tomorrow. There's a scene in the film that makes it one of my favorite. I'll share it tomorrow. But
mine's Koyaanisqatsi.
Do you have a favorite one, Fan-Man?
I'm not going to give a film, but I've got my Wire box set up here. TV series The Wire. Have you ever watched that? That was one of the things that got me into politics, actually, along with Russell Brand. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't. You actually asked me this before, and I said I'd look it up, and I'd totally forgotten.
The greatest TV, just past The Sopranos, but the greatest TV show. And it's just, if you're into politics, you can't not like that show. And especially it brings up issues of drug legalization, but mainly the corruption in government and in the police. It's so good because it's written by ex-police chief and an local government reporter, so they just know their stuff. They know what they're talking about. It's written by people that have lived it and breathed it, and it's the greatest show of all time. So that would be my pick, even though it's not a movie. But there you go.
If you want to know when I go live, guys, just check out on my home tab. That's where it shows when my live streams are next anyway, just for reference there.
Excellent. Yeah, and all your details to your channels are down in the subscription box down below. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on, guys. I really appreciate it. It was a good
privilege.
Good chat.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
we can do it again. Hopefully this will be a start of me doing more live streams, because I really do enjoy this. This is where I want the channel to go, really. More conversational, long form content. I just think it's far better. So thank you for coming on for my first live stream in a very long time.
Yep,
and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.